Coach Nieto, as Coach Gillespie referred, was his hitting coach at USC for 10 years. Played at Cal State Fullerton for Augie Garrido in the 80s. Has been a head coach at junior college. Has been a head coach at the high school level for the last 10 or 12 years. Has won 4 CI championships. Has won a national championship as a coach. So very well versed. I think he's going to talk a little bit about the hitting. There's this new phenomenon in hitting. You know, everybody wants to hit fly balls and hit it over the fence. You know, the idea of launch angle. And I think what he's going to talk about is a little bit of the exact opposite. The one conversation we were having before we even began here was Coach Brown, being with the New York Yankees, was kind of talking about the launch angle thing has probably ruined more careers than it's saved. So what you see in terms of success, there's another side to that, which a lot of guys have really tried to implement this. So Coach Nieto is going to kind of talk about trying to create a flat swing and seeing how that is opposite of what maybe some of the other ideas are. So if you have questions about the hitting, I think we're going to do a little Q&A afterwards. So just kind of an open session about hitting. He's going to have about 15 minutes, and I'll let him take it from here. All right?
All right, thank you. Once again, thanks for having us. I also have a young son who's gone up on the mini T-ball, so trust me, I've seen many of the stories. I'm sure glad that Coach Gillespie can get away with that joke, and I'm glad you're filming. I still need to work. Okay, he's retiring this year, so send that to Child Services, send it to every principal, and to the league president, and let's just retire him early. Anyhow, thanks for having us. Again, I think we would run out of time and drinks to talk about hitting, and we love talking about hitting specifically, since I was fortunate to be with Skip for those 10, 11 years and work with a lot of great hitters. When I was his hitting coach, I felt that my job was to make our players good at what Skip was going to ask them to do. Okay, and I think that was a very safe and productive formula. Two things that I see with young hitters, and specifically, 3 things. Specifically, when they start, and I would say that do you guys have like mini T-ball or whatever they call it here? 4 or 5.
Start
okay.
Page 4.
All right. And going back to thinking my son now is 13 in 7th grade when he was playing minis, and again, trust me, I didn't want to coach my son because I didn't want to yell at more kids and get in trouble, but I just wanted to be a dad, and I just wanted to watch. And so I respect everything you guys do. But one thing that bothered me was that, first of all, you guys battle field space, I would think. I mean, it just happens everywhere, unless you guys are fortunate with 50 fields, right? Field time, space, and maybe enough help to be able to try to do the things you want to do. And it ends up turning into, okay, hurry up, go play catch. All right, let's take a pregame, let's give them a few swings, and okay, we'll see you next Wednesday. I mean, that's just because the next team's ready to come in. So, but one thing that bothered me, and I use that term not loosely, but seriously, is that I hated when it was now Johnny Bag of Donuts time to hit, and they send him up to the plate, and of course he's batting last, right? Because everybody wants to see their best hitter hitting first. And Johnny goes up to the plate, and he's standing there like this. And I said, you know what, this kid might not be able to hit, because obviously he wouldn't be hitting last, but can we teach him and show him to look like a hitter? I mean, that's on us, that's on you. Now, he might not be able to hit it, because, you know, sometimes there's more than just you teaching the kid to hold the bat right, teaching him to stand up right, and now, got to have a little bit of ability, got to have a little bit of hand-eye coordination, and there's a little bit of a fear factor for these kids that have the confidence, right? Confidence plays a big part of it. So that was something that bothered me, and I feel like, take it personal. Take it personal. At least have them go up there and look like a hitter. Well, what does that mean? And like Skip said, there's a lot of different ways, but keep it simple, right? Hey, wide base, flex knees. Wide base, flex knees. Put him in an athletic position. Put him in a position of strength. Get his hands up. Get him up at the top of the strike zone. Get his hands back, above his back foot. So now this kid has a chance. And you as the coaches, in that coach pitch, right, when they get after T-ball, then you have to be the master of making the ball hit the bat. Okay, you can, I mean, it's a tough chore, but it can be done, okay? And when you guys play the coach pitch, right, so the hitter is going to be, coach, stand up, maybe, I don't know, what, 10, 15 feet away, right? So
No, we're full.
okay, so when you get to coach pitch, you pitch from the mound? So you don't go a little bit closer, okay? Because I
A
know.
little bit closer,
All
just in
right,
front.
so I always see, so coach, get on your knees right now. And Coach Gillespie, you're going to be the hitter, you're going to turn around, you're going to face me. So it always bothered me, I talked to Skip, to Chris. And here is, and I'm not very tall, okay, but I'm taller than little Johnny, who that's about how tall they are when they're 5 years old, right? Maybe a tick shorter. And the coach is back here, and he's throwing like this, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, most of them?
Yeah.
Okay, the point is, the release point, even if I'm only 5'8", their kids are looking up, and that's not very realistic. So I'm like, man, why does the coach get on a knee and at least put the ball in the release point at the same plane as his eye? Maybe it gives him a better chance to hit. So that was one thing that bothered me. Thanks, Coach, you did good. All right.
You're gonna make me hit.
Yeah, no, I don't want, we're on film, man, you're in charge here. I don't want any notes. So those two things, again, take it personal when you see poor little Johnny. I guarantee you if he's standing like this, or like this, or like this, he probably doesn't want to be there. And mom and dad want him to be part of some sort of physical activity, team sport, maybe improve his self-esteem, all the social aspects and confidence, aspects that sports and team, will develop, hopefully. Okay, so don't let him go up there like that. And hey, I know you're on the call timeout. It says, hey, Johnny, is that how we showed you how to, make them a little bit accountable? We have a term in our program, and we tell our kids, all right, if we teach you something, and we drill it, and we practice it, and you show us that you got a pretty good feel for what we're talking about, and you show us that you can do it consistently at a pretty high level, well, now we're going to hold you accountable. So when it comes to games, and I tell my coaches, from freshman to varsity, don't get on a kid for something, a skill that they failed to do, unless we have, number one, taught it, number two, we've drilled it, practiced it, and lastly, they've shown us that they understand it and can consistently do it. I said, because then it's on you, then it's on us as coaches. So if we want them to be accountable, let's make sure that we are showing them properly, drilling it, and they're showing us that they got a pretty good feel for it. Because otherwise, then we're jerks. If we're getting and yelling at kids for something we haven't taught them, we haven't shown them, and they haven't shown us that they can do it, then it's like picking on handicapped kids. It really is. We're really bullying our kids. So take that personal, and wide base, flex knees, get their hands up, and just make them look like a hitter. Again, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about stance and grip and this and that, okay, because there's a couple other things that I want to talk about. So does that make sense? I mean, how many of you guys have seen, maybe you've seen on your son's team, they go up there and, man, it kills me. If you were teaching in the classroom in kindergarten, you were showing these kids how to hold the pencil or the pen, I mean, would you just let them hold it like a hatchet or or would you try to teach them how to hold the pen correctly? Because you know that's gonna lend itself to them, their penmanship and learning how to write in cursive later and whatnot. Does that make sense? So please, take that personal. And once little Johnny's up there, man, at least if he looks the part, hey, I think you've done your job. Then it's kind of on them to start to develop. But again, I think it'll help with their self-esteem. I think it'll help with their confidence level. And hey, maybe he'll get that one hit a year that'll make his day. That we've all seen it. And he'll have the biggest smile on his face, and you'll be fired up. And hey, maybe you'll bat him third next time. All right, number two, without having seen your kids or your players from, I don't know, we're talking about what, 5 to 12-year-olds more or less?
Right.
Based on what my son grew up, our local pony league in San Gabriel where I live, it's pony. There's no little league, so it was pony. So I've seen the variety of, the mini T-ball through the little machine, right, whatever they throw, then coach pitch, okay. But there's two things that I see very common without having the senior hitters. And what I see is they don't use their lower half, and we give them the world famous, hey, you're only swinging with your arms. I mean, okay, so, and that's fine, that's a universal term that at least makes sense. But really what it's telling us is that they're not pivoting on their back foot. They're not pivoting on their back foot, and they're not using their lower half. That will increase their bat speed and the ability to hit the ball with some strength, whatever strength they have. And hit the ball hard. And two, that they have a big lift in their swing. They have an uppercut. Okay? For me, those are the two things that are super common in young hitters, even some hitters that are level. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes.
Right? Okay, so I want to get into a couple of drills that I feel are if you can just do these two drills, it's a home run. It's a home run, and you're going to see the results. Okay, the first drill is the high tee, and maybe I'll try not to, maybe just swing. The high tee, we at Damien, and our players hate it sometimes. The high tee is designed to create a flat, level swing. And going back to what we talk about on the new phenomenon of launch angle, I think that concept, like Brownie and I were talking, well, all of us were talking about, and it's ruined more hitters than it's really helped. I think it's a very advanced concept, and I think what we're doing is we're trying. The worst thing we can do, especially at this age, is to try to teach kids something that's an advanced. It's like algebra 3-4. When hey, they need to learn to add and subtract before they can multiply and divide. Does that make sense? So I think our job and your job is to try to teach them a swing that's going to allow them to square up to as many balls as possible. And the key in concept is to get the barrel of the bat on the same plane as the ball. So if the ball's coming that way, and I'm the hitter, I need to get my bat flat as early as possible. What I'm trying to create here is create a collision, like two trains on the same track. One is the barrel, and one is the ball. And I want to put my barrel on the same plane as long as possible. So if I have a lift in my swing, uppercut, right? And my swing's here, I gotta be dead center. When here comes the ball, here comes my swing, I gotta be perfect, which at 5, 6, 7, 12 years old, I doubt it. I doubt it. So what the high tee does, and how high is high? Sternum high. I don't care if little Johnny is 3'2" and little Ralphie is 5'2". Wherever they're at, you adjust. Now, I use the bucket because this tee doesn't go up that high, so you may not need the bucket. Okay, my son, when he was old enough to stand up like some of your kids, all right, he developed a really good swing because when he was little, and he's still not very tall, but I mean, the tee was as low as it could go, right? But when he was little with his little plastic bat, I'd set up a tee on this side of the backyard and a tee on that side of a bucket and make him shag, hit him all there, put him back in the bucket, hit him back this way. The tee was not low enough for him to put it knee high like many coaches, kids like to do. It was always set up high. So for him to kind of cognizantly figure out, how do I, and I told him, on the line, bud, on the line. You know, eventually when he got old, he wanted to hit it over the fence in the backyard and thought it was great, and now we had no more balls to hit. I mean, so he had to get flat. He had to get flat, and he had to get level in order to hit the ball consistently. Otherwise, he would just beat up the tee, right? You're going to hit the post every time. Hit the post every time. So they're going to see the visual feedback if they can't consistently hit the ball on a line. And that's all. So to do that, again, you put the tee, regardless of their height, you may need a bucket, you may need a crate. If the tee goes up to a certain height, then just the whole sternum high. That's the key, sternum high. Kind of chest level high. And the definition or the philosophy behind it, because you might have smart guys at 5 and say, well, coach, that's a ball. Well, no kidding. We're not teaching you to swing at balls. We are teaching you and training to develop your swing to be flat. Smart guy, now sit down. That's right. Well, coach, that's a ball. You told me don't swing at balls. Well, we're not telling you to swing at balls, Johnny. We're trying to train your swing. By the way, Johnny, you have an uppercut. Maybe you haven't noticed. You lead the league in fly balls and pop-ups. Okay, so that's why we're working at this. This drill is designed to develop a short, flat, compact swing. That's what it is. We're not trying to teach you to swing at balls. I know that. I'm your coach. I know everything. We're training your swing to be level, right? When we grew up, level swing, that's synonymous. Now it's turned into flat. I mean, and that's fine. So they're synonymous terms, whatever term you want to use. and you challenge them, and you tell them, see, anytime you can control the environment, is it realistic for me to hit 10 line drives off in a line? Is that realistic? Go 10 for 10. Absolutely it's realistic. Why not? The ball's not moving, it's not curving, it's not sliding. We don't have Kershaw on the mound. Why shouldn't I be able to hit 10 line drives? Is it realistic? Yes, of course it is. Now, even though I'm retired, I'm not going to embarrass myself, but I might go 9 out of 10. But eventually, can I eventually go 10 line drives? We're talking about repetition. Skip talked about that. Okay, the answer is yes. Okay, so the whole idea is, if you tell them and you set up a few tees, I know they don't like to do fence hitting, but do they let you do fence hitting with wiffles at least maybe? Does that not ruin, that shouldn't ruin them. So you challenge them and say, okay, see how many line drives you can hit. They get a competition amongst themselves. See, because confidence is a big part of it, now they leave the cage after 2-3 weeks, or the fence, line drives. Now you go to soft toss. Is it realistic now that I'm going to toss you, assuming I give you a good toss, right? Because the feeder is part of the key too. Is it realistic for him to learn to hit 10 line drives from a soft toss into the fence? Yeah, eventually I think it is. It is. All right? But now the ball's moving. So now that's what I mean about controlling the environment. First, it don't move. Okay. Now we're tossing it. Feels pretty good about it. Now I'm going to back up and go behind the L screen, and now I'm going to do this. Is it realistic for him to try to hit 10 line drives? Absolutely. Well, now when he gets to the game and he's facing the Tigers and they got the guy throwing, he might have a pretty good confidence level that he's done it before. Does that make sense? Just kind of a progression. Okay? But again, this is a great drill. And I can't emphasize enough, we only use the tee at a high tee. And if they mess with it, then we're going to scream at them and say, that's not how we do it here, Damien. It's not my way, it's not Chris's way, it's the Damien way. We want them to buy into the Tigers way. This is what it is, it's the Dodgers way. Okay, we want them to buy in. It's not just Coach Nieto's, Coach Beck, no, it's the Damien baseball way. Okay, and lastly, the last couple minutes, Chris, if you can help me, the pivot drill. Okay, this drill is, again, how do you get them to pivot? Hey, we learned squash the bug and all that good stuff. And the whole idea and the concept, it makes sense. So whatever term you want to use to get them to use their lower half, really get their hips into the ball, which is going to generate bat speed, be able to give them a little more power, not so much for home runs, and be able to hit the ball with some firmness to it. Okay? And what it is 100%, Chris, I want you to, you're gonna swing. Don't embarrass yourself. All right, so we're going to get him, let's see, so you can see, yes, I think that's good. Okay, so back up a little bit. So I'm going to, see, now it's like a soft toss drill. And many of you may have seen it, and if you did, great, use it. So I'm going to get him on an angle here, right, kind of a little bit in front, and he's going to try to hit it with that, and they can do it with their little league bat. That's fine. See, they're going to try to hit the ball. That's what they want to do. The concept to get him to pivot and use his lower halves and hips has nothing to do with him hitting the ball. But they're going to want to hit it because that's what they feel they have to do. So we're going to kind of let them try to hit it every time. Every time. Okay? So now you just swing no matter where the ball's at. Okay? Swing. Did he do what we wanted him to do? Yeah. Swing. Swing. I mean, so again, you want to give a good feed to give him the idea, hey coach, I hit the ball. But as you can see, I can throw the ball against the fence and it don't matter if he hits it or not. The main deal is that he uses lower half. And I'm telling you, that is, it's like, it's magic. It's like kettle corn. I mean, it's great. And it gets done what you want them to do. So again, those two drills, the high tee, again, we could be this forever. And you really need to listen to these guys. The high tee and that pivot drill. And again, you have helpers, fathers, right, to help do station work. So I don't know, we got a dozen kids on each team usually. They don't leave you stranded for Boy Scouts or violin or whatever. Okay, amazing. I know, we see it all the time, even at our level. I mean, we got parents different. I mean, scheduling dentist appointment and DMV appointments during practice time. Amazing. Anyhow, another story for a different time. Okay, please. Make those drills a priority. Teach a couple of your parents or you may already know to do it and do some station work and you're going to get great results. Again, make them look like a hitter. Have them stand up, wide base, flex knees, hands at the top of the strike zone. Level-eyed look, don't let them tilt their head because now they're looking at the ball this way. Just make them look like a hitter. All right, and tell them, don't go up there, let me see, show me what you look like. All right, now go ahead, make them show you. All right, and then the high tee, through the ball, line drives, and it's amazing how the consistency of quality repetition is going to lend itself to you know, a higher percentage of squaring up the balls. And then the pivot drill for those that really have a lazy swing, just kind of this, you know. You see it, they just do this. Well, now that little drill will help. So hey, I'll let these guys get in. We can do questions
Yeah, maybe
afterwards, whatever. But hey, thank you.